Hey folks, it's for once a really nice day and I'm going to take you around my garden and show you where I'm at. I've been gone for around about 8 weeks and a lot of you will know that I've been doing some other projects that have taken me away from filming, and in the meantime I've still had to manage the garden. I've had a few issues, but we'll talk about them as we go around, and I'll also tell you where I've been and what I've been doing. That's all coming up right now. All right folks, let's start with this section of the garden, the compost bays. As you can see, they're all pretty much full and we have leaf mold going. We've got huge amounts of grass clippings and I'm collecting more later, and we're using that as a mulch as well as a compost ingredient, but it's fantastic for helping in this dry hot weather, keeping the moisture down in the ground, so it saves time on watering. And we have then 5 bays totally full of compost, all breaking down, roughly about the same stage at the moment. This one here, we are just keeping up with all the old stuff, so we're just combining everything in there. Eventually we'll use some grass clippings and that and some browns and we'll make up a new bay full. Okay, so this first area, we got brassicas in this cage here. We have a grapevine along that front fence there, which needs a good pruning. All of our kales are all doing really well, and the corn in the back row there. I've got a bit of pruning to do on this. It's just never ending with that. We have a load of dahlias in here, and I just want to show you something a lot of people don't seem to realise here. Look how high we are above the houses. The wind absolutely howls through this, so it's been a bit of a battle this year, but we got some beans just starting to flower quite nicely here, and this is a variety called Stenna, I believe. I might be wrong, I'll have to double check. The corn is looking good. And as you can see, we've got all that mulched out with those grass clippings we were talking about. Same on the kale. Really does make a big difference. I got absolutely mullered here with the brassicas. There are some green sprouts along here and the slugs have had them. And that's one of the problems I've had this year, in that I never got around to putting nematodes down on the ground, so I've suffered for it. Here, got some artichokes in, and obviously just up here we've got all of the rhubarb. On the fence at the back we've got our first sunflowers showing, which is quite nice as well. So let's go this way. So again, like I said, we've got our arbour full of our climbers. This is where we just were with the compost bays, so I'm just going to come past there now. This bed did have all garlic in, and as you can see the trowels there, I've dug all them out today. The peach and nectarine trees, they've actually finally established out here now. If you remember, they were originally in the polytunnel. Cherry trees are doing fantastic. I have got one that's had a branch die back over there, so I do need to address that. And we've got a bit of cherry tree leaf curl going on, so there's some sort of disease happening up there as well, but we'll deal with that. Like a lot of people, I've had onion sets bolt, and that's mainly because it's been so cold and so wet here, and then we had this really hot weather. And likewise, I've had a few brassicas go over on me as well. So there's another bean row here, which is doing well. And in here we have Moonlight and Firestorm. All the white flower are Moonlight and the reds are Firestorm. And I think what's happened is the odd 1 or 2 seed has got mixed up by accident. So I've got the odd 1 or 2 Firestorm coming through, but the bulk of them are Moonlight, which is they're both a self-fertile bean. On this back end of the arbour we have a Rambling Rose, which is in its 2nd year, and that's doing quite well. We have all of the squash in these 3 beds here, and they're doing well. And I've started mulching again now with this grass. I'm picking up some more later, but when it's fresh it gets hot, so we need to spread it out and cool it down before we can put it around the plants. Again here we've got moonlight and the odd firestorm thrown in, and again the same over here. We have on the back of the netted cage, we have another sunflower there, and if I come into the cage, let me just move that. Again, you can see slug damage in here, and this is collie, broccoli, and there's a few sprouts in here. But again, you can see the damage being caused by some slug damage. You never see this on my garden normally because I've absolutely mullered them with nematodes, but this year I never got around to it, and there's a number of reasons, so we'll talk about that a bit later on. As you can see, I'm just moving a little bit of water around here using the Power Flow battery bank. They're fantastic. I use them for absolutely everything up here. I use them for moving water around, I use them for running tools, I can boil a kettle off, I can do whatever I want with it. It's fantastic. So this side, got swede, which are struggling a little bit, and we had some shallots over there, again struggling. This bed struggled a bit, and I think it's because the wind was howling up along this path and hitting them. We got a load of lettuce here, some are starting to bolt, and we are still picking it, and we've got another lettuce bed, which is a sowing that came after this, and we've got another sowing that is about to go on as well. Behind there you can see all the rose plants and the flower beds and stuff behind there. We've got some broad beans, and they've done really well this year. There is no black fly on any of these at all. So, but we've got plenty of beans coming, the odd weed. These were spring onions and they're now starting to bulb up. So we'll be pulling most of these very shortly. We'll be getting successional crops going in. These are a white beetroot that we are trialing at the moment, and they haven't done that great, I've got to be honest with you. This, our japonica, is growing all over the shed, and that's been doing quite well as well. So along here we've got the herb bed, which is going nuts and needs a good trimming. My rosemary absolutely died, and there's a few reasons for that. Mainly this soil underneath here is quite compacted, and it's clay, so it doesn't drain very well, and I should have known better, but I didn't. But I've got more rosemary plants to replace that. This is that new flower bed. We had some really bad weather come in and kill off most of the sweet peas, but we do have a few coming up, so we will still get some flowers out of here. And of course all this will all be in flower very shortly, which was the idea for this, was to cut flowers for the wife. Here we have some chard in the back of this raised bed. We've got one that's bolted, so that's going to have to come out. There's lettuce along the front, got a load in nasturtiums, so they are coming on really well. Got a load of lettuce here again, and some strawberries, and these are starting to bolt as well. But they would have been for the chickens by now, but as you know, the fox had my chickens, so I had to get that addressed. The second row of asparagus is up, and that's doing okay, so we'll just allow these to continue now this year. So let's go back this way where we just come from, and we'll continue up this path down here. So where the cherry trees were earlier on, we have a smaller bed of lettuce there, just nothing in these two really. We've got some a third sowing of collie there, and we've got more onions in the back, which are doing much better than those down there that we spoke about. Okay, let's work our way up towards the tunnel. Oh, just while I'm on it, as you can see, the lavender has had a bit of a kicking, and the reason being was I had someone give me a hand in the autumn, and I asked them to prune the lavender without realizing they didn't know what they were doing, and they cut it right back into old wood. So the idea this year, we're going to take off what we need, and then I'm going to take some cuttings and we will root some new cuttings and eventually replace these lavender. Got some rubbish and stuff there. Got an old barrel here which we'll be using. Subsequently, it's the other part of that barrel there. The well-being garden's looking really good. We've got a load of hostas going to flower in it. We've got a load of dahlias ready to come through. All the climbers are starting to climb. The hanging baskets are doing well. Obviously the cold frames are empty at the moment because we haven't needed to put anything in there, but it's all looking really good here. And it'll be nice to see these climbers finally getting up and up over this arbour. The strawberry planters done fantastic this year. They're still giving out flowers, but as you can see, they're starting to red up a little bit now because these are an early variety, but we had a ton of fruit off them. The fruit cage, we'll talk about that in a moment, but as you can see, it is rammed in there. This tunnel, again, all mulched with grass, and I like this because I haven't got to do anything. We spoke about the drip irrigation earlier in the year, and there they are. And essentially this is 13 mil with drippers, and they're like every 6 inches and they just run along the plants, and it's buried and comes out of that there via gravity. That's why this one is up on a few pallets. But like I said, I am a little bit behind a lot of people at the moment in that it's been so cold here in Wales, and it's only recently we started getting the warm weather. So things will catch up though, so I'm not bothered. But again, the tomatoes are coming on. We're getting our first trusses of fruit on the bottom of them. So, and they're flowering well, which is the main thing. Cucumbers, we got our first fruits coming up on the cucumbers. So the only thing I really got to do is get in here and keep things going. And the banana's loving it in here as usual. It's thrown like 6 pups already this year. This was a pup from last year, the big one. And the reason being was we didn't wrap the 2. I wanted to see just how hardy that the Musa could be, and it wasn't that hardy. So so I'll go back to wrapping. But I always take a pup home and I look after a pup just to be sure that I can continue. I planted that pup up here a few months ago, and now we've got another 6 pups coming through, so we can do the same thing. In the back here, so along here we've got aubergine or eggplant, we've got some cucamelons, and then the back row is all melons. The front row is all cucumber. So we've got plenty coming through on that. The chilies over here have been running auto pot systems, okay, as you can see down the garden there. And essentially what it means is this greenhouse, other than me going around pulling out these sort of things like this and winding the tomatoes around, I haven't got to do anything. The auto pot system runs off this tank here, and in there is a liquid feed, organic, and that's feeding the chilies, which aren't doing very well this year again. So I might go back to putting them in the ground, I'm not sure. We'll see, give them another chance. The garlic bed, I dug up the elephant garlic today. The other garlic was dug up about a week or so ago, so the elephant garlic's in here drying off now, and we'll peel that and it'll be ready then to store. But that's ready as well. Okay, so let's go up to this other tunnel. As you can see, I've been using a fair bit of water. That's a bucket of potatoes that I've just left there as a trial. Essentially, those were planted in the compost. They have never been watered other than any rain that's happened. I have to say, you can see how sheltered it is, but I have to say it has rained a fair bit here. That's why they're probably growing, so it's probably not a fair trial. In here, you'll see things that I've just let go to seed and what have you. It's not really the best of things to show you at the moment in here, but I will be getting more all the sort of autumn sowings going on now. So there's a load of rosemary plants here. This was bought for me as a gift from my mother to replace the one that was out there. Not knowing that she'd bought that, I'd gone out and bought a couple of others. So all the fruit on the grape are all netted, as you can see, and that is to not only stop the birds, because the nets are now a bit old and I need to replace those, but also to stop the insects from damaging the fruit, to allow airflow to get around them. As you can see, I've cut the vines right back this year. I haven't let it get overgrown or anything like that. It does still need a bit of pruning, like mainly down here where it started growing again, but we need to do that anyway just so we can get out. This is a fig tree that I thought was dead. The top got taken off it, but it is absolutely plastered in figs. So I'm going to leave it this year, and then we're going to have to start training it. Likewise, this one here I thought was dead. If you look down in the center there, all the branches had rotted off, and then it started throwing all these side branches. So if your fig dies back, never just give up on it. This won't have figs for a little while now, but what we'll do is train this one up into a specific shape. Again, as you can see, there are just figs everywhere on this little tree. They are all over the place. Grapes are looking good, so like I said, we've got plenty of grapes coming through as well. That room in there is an absolute junkyard. I've got to get that sorted out. And believe it or not, I've even got beans here that have never gone out, but I've got all I needed, and I've given some away as well. Along here we've got a load of marigolds which seem to be growing tall and doing nothing. So I don't know if that's lack of light, because originally the canopy in here was quite dark. But extra tomatoes, instead of throwing them, we put them in here, and these ones are a little bit behind the main ones, so maybe we'll get a second flush off these. Got some coir in there that I'm not using at the moment. So that's in that tunnel. Let's have a little look up here. Right, I've been that busy, I didn't get to plant my carrots this year. I will sow some now in pots for later in the year, but it is what it is. The spuds, I've got some earlies now just going over, so I will be harvesting those. As you can see here, look, they've all had a really good watering. And incidentally, I want to show you, means I can get in there, how these work. So this one here, look, is literally just sat in there, and if I pull this soil back, just want to show you just how moist this soil is. Look at that. Lovely and moist, perfect. It balls up and then breaks apart. That's exactly how you know if it's the right moisture, okay? But these buckets now are gone, and the main crop is still going, the main ones. But we give them a feed today as well, which was the first time I fed them this year. And I just want to show you guys how I feed, because you know it all watering comes out of these barrels for them. But what I do, I have one of these wheelie bins, and in the wheelie bin I mix up a seaweed fertilizer, and then I just take the pump out of there and I drop it in here, and then the pump gets taken out of there, drops in there, and then it just runs through the system, and I haven't had any blockages or anything like that. The poultry, as you can see, since they've been gone, all these weeds are starting to grow in there. I am going to get more, but what I'm going to do first is dig down Let me show you where they got in. They actually didn't dig underneath. They ripped, the foxes ripped the wire up here, look. So they ripped it off the frame. But what I'm going to do is put a frame down here, and I've got some sheeting, some steel sheeting, and we'll bury that into the ground, and then this wire will be up higher, but I'll put a stronger wire on them as well, just to be sure it can never happen again. The comfrey is all timed for that to be cut. The pond's still going nuts as usual, you know, so this bit is a bit of a wildlife mess at the moment. I've got weeds all along here that I need to take care of. The fruit area, all the fruit trees are all doing well. As you can see, we've got all plums. I'm not sure how the pears are looking this year, or if we've got any. Definitely got apples though, as you can see there. So all the apples are coming. I haven't seen any pears. So these are all the pear trees here. And it doesn't look like there are many pears on them this year, so maybe they're coming a little bit later. But yeah, we've got apples all over the place, as you can see, so we'll be good for those. We've got cherries further down the plot. We've got plums further down the plot. Let's have a look at the fruit cage. So this fruit cage, look at that. That's so laden with red currants that it's actually weighing the branches down, and it's happening right throughout. So we've got red currants here, we've got black currants looking really good. We have honeyberries now, or hascasp, I think they call it in America. So you can just make them out on here. There's a couple here you might be able to see easier. So that's good. We got some huge clusters of blueberries coming, which is really good. I saw my first kiwi on that kiwi plant back there, so I'm happy with that. As you can see, it's gone nuts. It's got through the netting at the top. The plan for that after this year will be to cut it all at roof level, and we're going to espalier it, so see what happens. The gooseberries are all looking good. I mean, there's plenty of fruit on them, as you can see, so that's good. This year, this Josterberry has done fantastic. There's fruit everywhere over it. So we've got plenty of fruit coming through. Look at it, it's absolutely plastered with fruit. And there are 3 of these, and this is a huge plant. So that's doing really well. We have raspberries in here. This has gone nuts this year. Let me just lift this up. There we are. We've got raspberries coming on, and you know, they're in various stages, so let's have a taste of that one. And they're lovely too. All the blackberries are all just starting to come through now as well, so you can see them. So we should get a really good crop of blackberries, and in fact further on in here, and I'm forcing my way in a little bit at the moment along this path. I mean, have a look at this, guys. Look at this lot. We're gonna have tons and tons of blackberries. Look at them. So I'm quite pleased with that. Look at this. All the Josterberries. That's just one little branch. You know, they are absolutely everywhere here. Look at them. So this is done, and do you know what? They're absolutely gorgeous, these. So I'm like a kid in a sweet shop when I get in there. And whoops, I was sending some water across there, and that's now full, so I need to get down here and switch it off. You can hear it just running down there, look. So we just need to unplug it. We will lift the pump out, and we'll go and pull that pipe out so it don't feed back. There we go, done. So I've just filled up this one now so I can continue with the watering in here without any problems at all. That bit of water that fed over is because the tank isn't quite level. I'll level it up again now later in the year. But how this works, well, I got you here. We can literally just open it like that, and that is essentially it. And in a moment, you should see it start to drip. There, look. See it? So it might take a little while to pressurize, but then it will start dripping. And I literally just come up here in the morning, I'll switch it on and just leave it do its own thing. Okay, so to explain what's been going on, for 8 or 9 weeks now, I've been obviously busy up here like everybody else in their garden, so that's no excuse. But I mentioned a little while ago about a database that I was making for the potatoes, because I think the biggest issue that most people have with growing potatoes is knowing what the variety is and whether it's a first early, a second early, a main crop, you know, a determinate and indeterminate, how far to plant them, how deep to plant them, you know, how long it's going to take before they are able to be harvested. Well, that database is now finished. And I said in one of my last videos I was going to make that available to you guys, but because of the way AI is working at the moment, I'm not going to just give the database away, because it's something that took me nearly 9 months to complete, and I believe that it shouldn't just be able to be manipulated by other people who would probably monetize it. So what I'm going to do, the database will be free, but what I've done is I've built a tool around it, and it's literally just a tool on my page, and all you've got to do is go to the page, and then it will actually show you, and it works in a couple of ways. Now, the next video that I'm going to produce is going to be for potatoes, and that is going to show you exactly how to use the tool and how good it is. Just to give you some sort of idea just how big the database is, there's over 1,000 varieties of potatoes in it, and I'm adding to it constantly, so the tool is only going to get better with time. But I think as a working model, it'll be fantastic for most people to go. All right, it will be totally free for you to use. Okay, there will be a few stipulations in that, but like I said, so I've been doing that. The other thing that I've been doing is I've been doing a lot of public speaking. I did some public speaking for some people, gardening club a couple of nights ago, and that seemed to go really well. That was for composting, and so I've been doing a fair bit of that, and I've also been working on a course. I haven't started filming the course yet, but I've been working on the actual foundations for that course, because I want something that's really going to benefit people. So the last 8 or 9 weeks for me has been really busy, and then on top of all of that, I've also completely redesigned the newsletter so that it's much bigger, has a lot more information in it, it's much more beneficial for people, and it's now gone weekly as well. All right, so if you're not in that newsletter, I'd suggest that you do get into it, because there's so much stuff in there. There's going to be, I'm contacting other companies as well for bigger discount codes for you, so there's going to be all sorts of discounts down there. And the other thing as well, some of you will have had my free ebook about a month or so ago that I gave away. I think 580 of you downloaded it. Any future freebies that I give away are only going to be to people on the newsletter. So if you're not on it, I suggest you get on it if you want those freebies. Anyway, that's pretty much all I've got to show you today. It's a walk around. You will see what I've been seeing, and you know, like I said, like anybody else, I've had my problems in the garden. As a general rule, it's not too bad. I've got some things that the slugs have had because I didn't get the nematodes down this year, and that'd be a lesson to me as well, you know. If it weren't for the grass clippings down as a mulch, I think I would have really struggled this year. But things are starting to come on now. The cold is gone and we're now starting to get some warmer days. So I think for me, that's going to be the saving grace, you know. But yeah, so that's it. I've been walking you around on my mobile phone today and I've got that really expensive camera right there. So, and I think we filmed like one shot with it or something, and that was because it's very difficult to lug that around in this form of video. But like I said, I will be filming some of the other videos and things over the next few days for you. So hopefully now I can get back on the weekly track of videos. I know they've been few and far between, and but like I said, there has been a reason for all of that. I really didn't want to disappoint you guys with saying that I was going to get that potato database finished and then not get it finished, and there is so much of effort that went into that database that you won't believe. Anyway folks, if you like this video, then YouTube reckons you're going to love that one. I'm Tony O'Neill, this is Simplified Gardening. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.